finalized a rough design of Yosuke, the initial draft, the finalized design for Chie Satonaka. The overall idea was a cute girl who could believably exist in this world. The initial draft of Yukiko Amagi's design. Here she's drawn wearing a rather retro-looking sweater. Another early draft of Yukiko Amagi's design. In contrast to Chie, Yukiko's hair was shorter at this stage. The finalized design for Kanji Tatsumi. The skull t-shirt and the jacket worn on the shoulders help sell Kanji's tough guy act. The initial draft of Kanji Tatsumi's design. Since Kanji was initially established as a delinquent older classman, this design was considered for him at one point. The finalized design for Teddy. The central point of his design was that he would be a character everyone could love. The initial draft of Teddy's design. There were a lot of abandoned experiments before eventually settling on the look seen in his finalized design. A rough version of Rise Kujikawa's finalized design. Since Rise is an idol who has tasted both the bitter and the sweet, she was designed as a girl who could express both. A rough version of the initial draft of Rise Kujikawa's design. This early conception of her was as a female delinquent. The initial draft of Rise Kujikawa's design. This early conception of her was as a female delinquent. The finalized design for Naoto Shirogane. She was designed in a way that suggested a boy detective. The initial draft of Naoto Shirogane's design. This version was suggested since the initial idea of Naoto's character was a short, pretty boy. The finalized design for Nanako Dojima. The key element of this design was a younger sister all the characters would love. The initial draft of Nanako Dojima's design. Since this design made her seem too independent, her design was changed later to the one seen in the game. Another early design for Nanako Dojima. Her design was changed from a princess-like little girl who has lived a severely protected life to the one seen in the game. The finalized design of Ryotaro Dojima. The regrets of a father who has reached middle age were incorporated into this design, which made it into the game. The initial draft of Ryotaro Dojima's design. It was established that he was a detective, but since it made him seem more like a suspect, his design was changed later to the one seen in the game. The finalized design for Toru Adachi. He was designed as someone who has a position of authority, yet is dull-witted and thick-headed. The initial draft of Toru Adachi's design. Since this one made him seem too suspicious, his design was changed later to the one seen in the game. The finalized design for Marie. Her design didn't change much from the early stages to the finished design. The finalized design for Izanagi. The finalized design for Izanagi, the Persona 4 protagonist's persona. The key aspect of his appearance was a manly bearing. The finalized design for Izanagi no Okami, the Persona 4 protagonist's awakened persona. The approach taken was to show a more mature, stronger version of Izanagi. The finalized design for Jiraiya, Yosuke Hanamura's persona. It was based off what Yosuke would imagine as a hero. The finalized design for Susanoo, Yosuke Hanamura's awakened persona. It was designed as what Yosuke would imagine as a persona that presides over storms. The finalized design for Tomoe, Chie Satonaka's persona. It was designed with a certain beloved martial artist of Chie's in mind. The finalized design for Suzuka Gongen, Chie Satonaka's awakened persona. The helmet has been changed from the one worn by Tomoe to an off-road version. The finalized design for Konohana Sakuya, Yukiko Amagi's persona. Its design emphasizes femininity, in contrast to Izanagi, the protagonist's persona. The finalized design for Amaterasu, Yukiko Amagi's awakened persona. The way some parts of its body are blurred to convey light shining from within reflects the sun goddess this persona is based on. The finalized design for Take Mikazuchi, Kanji Tatsumi's persona. This design was produced with the idea of something Kanji himself would like, with elements of lightning incorporated. The finalized design for Rokuten Mao, Kanji Tatsumi's awakened persona. Nobunaga Oda, the daimyo of the Warring States era, was the basic inspiration for this persona's look. The finalized design for Himiko, Rise Kujikawa's persona. It's based on the Queen of Yamatai, mentioned in historical records such as the Gishiwa Jinden. The magic she uses has been incorporated into the design as an antenna. The finalized design for Kanzio, Rise Kujikawa's awakened persona. In order to show that it's more powerful than Rise's previous persona, the number of antennas on it has been increased. The finalized design for Kintoki Doji, Teddy's persona. Since the hero of the children's story Kintaro has a tomahawk, this design modernizes that concept with a missile. The finalized design for Kamui, Teddy's awakened persona. This design was inspired by the image of a bear god. The finalized design for Sukuna Hikona, Naoto Shirogane's persona. Its appearance was crafted with the retro anime boy character in mind. The finalized design for Yamato Takeru, Naoto Shirogane's awakened persona. It was designed to reflect Naoto, a beauty in male dress. This was drawn as the key image for the PlayStation 2 release of Persona 4. In contrast to the protagonists standing before the monitors, their inner personas given form are shown on the static-laced screens. This was created as the package design for the PlayStation 2 release of Persona 4. In addition to the portraits of each of the protagonists showing their distinct personalities, visual elements from the storyline are subtly worked in. This was made to be downloadable wallpaper on the official Persona 4 website. Since it was drawn with Christmas in mind, the Velvet Room residents wear red costumes, not seen in the main story, leaving a lasting impression upon the viewer. This was drawn for the cover of the August 2008 issue of Famitsu PSP and PS3. Behind the glasses-wearing protagonists is Izanagi, whose strong gaze reflects their determination to pursue the truth. This was drawn for the back cover of the August 2008 issue of Famitsu PSP and PS3. In contrast to that issue's front cover, the protagonists are depicted without their glasses at school, where they spend their daily lives. The warm retro shade of yellow is the theme color for the game. This piece was drawn for the cover of the August 8th, 2008 issue of Dengeki PlayStation. Yellow light is pouring out of the monitor, drawn underneath the protagonist, as if heating the power he is releasing, and it is brightly lighting up both him and his persona, Izanagi, that has appeared behind him. This was drawn for the September 2008 issue of Dengeki Mao. It depicts the protagonist, whose gaze is fixed upon the truth before him, and his persona, which grants him the power to grasp that truth. This was drawn for the December 2008 issue of Play magazine. The protagonist is depicted as ready for battle, with his 2 weapons, a sword, and a persona card. This was drawn for the cover design of a Persona 4 tie-in novel, Amnesia of the Fog. Yosuke, Chie, and Yukiko are shown with Junes apparently being projected on top of them. This was drawn for the cover design of a Persona 4 tie-in novel, Your Affection. A wistful scene of a peaceful time for the protagonists is shown as if captured by a camera. This was used as the cover design for the official Persona 4 art book. Behind the lined-up protagonists are each of their personas looking in the same direction, giving it a modern, artistic feel. This was used as the cover design for Persona Club P4. The main characters are shown walking across the front and back covers, giving the viewer a heartwarming feeling. This was drawn as a pre-order bonus for a particular shop. The protagonist and Teddy are shown on a background that symbolizes their being lured into the TV world. This was drawn as a pre-order bonus for a particular shop. The image shows the protagonist with his sword drawn and Naoto readying her gun. This piece was drawn as a pre-order bonus for a particular shop. Rosette in her swimsuit is reminiscent of the very beginning of the game. This was drawn as a pre-order bonus for a particular shop. The way Naoto and Yukiko stand back to back, gazing at the viewer, gives this design a mysterious quality. This was drawn as a pre-order bonus for a particular shop. Chie sits in a yukata on a narrow wooden passageway, casting a cute glance at the viewer. The watermelon and fan in the background hint at a summertime scene. This was drawn as a present card for the Persona 4 trading card set. Teddy is dressed in the clothes he wore during the cross-dressing pageant held at Yasogami High, baffling the viewer. This was drawn for the Persona 4 card in the Weiss Schwarz game. Its heroic design depicts the protagonist standing in a torrent of power. Izanagi no Okami, showing his true bonds, stands behind him. This was drawn for a special Famitsu.com blog page. These images are different from the final drawings that viewers usually see, showing the artist's process in creating the characters. This was drawn for the cover of Volume 3 of the Persona 4 drama CDs. The way the protagonist is signaling Nanako, his friends surrounding him with cheerful expressions, and the blue sky above them gives the viewer a sense of youth. This was drawn for the covers of Volume 1 and 2 of the Persona 4 drama CDs. The natural expressions of the protagonist and his friends during a moment of peace are expressive of their youth.
Hee Hee Ho, Music King, a special presentation of 2012's luscious voices. Hee Hee Ho, Music King, from Inaba with Love, the music of your youth. Hee Hee Ho, Music King, a grudge match special in the Midnight Channel.
Daily Personamations.
Your cooking is barely food, Chie.
Hey, shut up!